Hey, ladies, it's me, Queenie. I wanted to come and talk to you today because I've had some very interesting, interesting interactions with some of you lately. And some of them have pierced my heart in a way where I think we need to have a real tough conversation. Because I'm noticing some common threads with a lot of the ladies that I've been speaking to, and I know that the pain that you all are enduring it's overwhelming, and it's changing you at your core. And so I want to talk about it because um, some of the ways that we are integrating the challenges that we're facing with trying to get pregnant and all the different treatments, and it's just affecting us in ways that we don't really have a way to really calculate the toll that it's taking on your life as a woman, on your life as a wife, if you already have children, how it's impacting that relationship. There's just a lot more to it than just, I'm trying to get pregnant. And you already know this because you've been moving through it, and you are dealing with you on a daily basis. So you may be aware of some of the changes that are happening in you. And some of you, I don't think are. But I wanted to just bring it up and just share some of the insights that I have had that I think will really make a difference if you are paying attention. The first thing is I wanted to talk about some of the common threads that I've noticed. The second thing is I want to share some tips that I think will really be supportive for you in going further. And the third thing is I have created a program or an offer that I want to make to you at the end that possibly will support you further in going into a deeper healing for yourself. Because the bottom line is this: becoming a mother is a sacred, holy assignment. And we each have the opportunity and the availability to step into that. I believe that our bodies can have the ability to heal. I believe in God's promises. I believe that there is restoration to be had. I've seen it on so many levels. I've spoken with women almost I won't say on a daily basis, but quite regularly. I speak with women who tell me that they were told they were infertile, that they were told that whatever illness they were diagnosed with would prevent them from having babies, or if they did have babies, there would be all kinds of problems, myself included. And so I hear the stories of these women still triumphing over all of that and still being able to own the power of womanhood, walk in the healing and the restoration of their bodies and their minds and their spirits, and finally fully stepping boldly into mommyhood. And so that I know that it's possible. And so I want to share all of that with you. But before I do, I want to give you a little bit of insight into me. My name is Queenie Brown, and I stand for the healing, transformation, and ascension of women worldwide. My goal is to really help women to restore themselves to their power, the power that God gave us, so that we can step boldly into whatever dreams we have in our lives. And that dream might look like creating a business, or overcoming the challenges in your marriage, or stepping boldly into a new calling in your life or ministry, or it might look like delivering a baby. But this in particular, this vein is, I feel like I have a sacred, holy calling to support women specifically that are challenged with getting pregnant, because that was my story. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia almost 20 years ago. Excuse me. I've been holding that in. Excuse me. But I'm tired. So it just feels good to just let it out. And I just want to be able to be free and be me, right? And I want you to be able to be free to be you. So I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia years ago, and also chronic fatigue syndrome. And I was living with pain 24/7, constantly, for well over 12 years. Almost closer to 15, to be, if I'm being totally honest with you. Day to day, every day, all day, chronic, constant pain. Even a hug hurt. My neck and shoulders were up here. They got so tight that it literally pulled my spine out of alignment. It caused three discs to rupture my neck, and 2 in my low lumbar back area. I was shot. My body was falling apart. I didn't know what was going on. I had a team of doctors running all kinds of tests. They were sticking me every which way. And they couldn't tell me what the problem was, but what they could tell me was that I'd never be a mom. And so I had a series of spiritual experiences where God kind of revealed some things to me about what's possible for me, what's possible for my own healing, and what's possible for me as far as motherhood was concerned. And then he proceeded to take me down a path of identifying different healing modalities and ways to help my body to align with the design that he created. And it helped me to step into motherhood. And when I was about to turn 43, I gave birth to my first miracle baby. And as I was turning 46, I gave birth to my second. And ever since then, I've had a special calling in my heart to help women heal and then also step into mommyhood so that they can become the moms that they've always dreamed of being. Now, throughout the course of that whole journey, I also wrote a book called The Self-Love Lessons, and you see it back there behind me. It's 7 lessons every woman must learn about herself and the power of womanhood. And it's not something that I decided I need to write about. It was what I chronicled from my own journey. I was a mess, and I needed healing, and I wanted to be free from the pain and the depression that came on as a result of the pain and the anxiety and the panic attacks and the insomnia and everything else. I mean, you don't have enough time for me to tell you all the different ailments that I was dealing with. But the bottom line is you can heal, and it really doesn't matter what label they put on what's going on in your body. The truth is that your body is trying to communicate with you. It's trying to tell you that something is not working the way that it should and that it needs your attention. And so we've got to learn how to tune into that and how to quiet everything else out so that we can hear and use the intuition that God gave us so that we can step into that healing more powerfully, more quickly. One of the common threads that I'm learning as I'm entering into this work is that many of the challenges that women are facing have little to do with what's going on in their bodies, but actually your bodies are reflecting what's happening internally, what's happening with you spiritually, what's happening with you emotionally, what's happening with you energetically. And when there's something that's off in any of those areas, it manifests in your body, and it looks like all these ailments and diseases and diagnoses that we are facing. So what I learned, and this is the beautiful lesson in all of this, is that healing a spiritual wound, healing an energetic wound, healing an emotional wound, those healings are far faster. They take hold much quicker than healing a physical wound. Our physical bodies take time to heal. It takes more than, it's just a longer healing process. And so the blessing is we can step into this healing a lot faster. But of course, because we're indoctrinated in Western medicine, we believe that the physical healing is what has to happen. And that's what's taken so long. That's why we're waiting so long to get healed. It's because we're trying to heal the physical. But the physical is just a mirror of what's happening in other areas. And so if you just heal those other areas, the physical will align. Does that make sense? Okay. Let me clean these off. So some of the common threads that I've recognized that was one that was actually enlightening and refreshing to learn that many of you that don't have a diagnosis, I would say probably a good 75% of the women that have reached out to me have no diagnosis at all, meaning the doctors can't find a reason why they're not conceiving. That to me is great news. That means that there's no physical healing that needs to take place. Honestly, it's just an energetic healing, emotional healing, or spiritual healing. And that, like I said, we can do quickly. For the 15% or so that have had physical challenges, it's still the same prescription. Because again, the physical is just a manifestation of what's happening on another level. So while you might have a little bit of a delay in the physical manifestation, once the other healing takes place, your body can rest and allow conception to take place. So I'm encouraged by that because I know that it's it's not necessarily, I won't call it easy, but I will call it very, very doable. So some of the challenges that I have, or not challenges, what would I call them? They still aren't clean. Some of the common threads that I have recognized, that I have recognized that were more disturbing for me were, number one, for the women that I've been speaking to, and this doesn't include all, maybe it wasn't you and maybe it was just everybody else. But for many of the women that I spoke to, their marriages have been severely impacted by the whole journey to having a baby. And that is troubling on many levels because, the marriage came first, right? And if the marriage is being impacted, it's primarily because you are not who you used to be. You have been changed by the whole journey. And the wounds that the journey brings forth, not just the woundedness that you brought into the marriage from either childhood or from any other abuses that we've suffered. Many of us have had to, most of us honestly, have had to deal with severe abuse and trauma and grief throughout our lives. And those abuses change you. They change you at your core on a molecular level. And if you don't deal with those and heal them, then my glasses are having a real challenge today. Oh, my baby picked them up and put her greasy little fingers all over them, so that's why I'm having challenges seeing. Okay, well, I'll push on through it. Anyway, many of you have endured some severe trauma, some severe grief, and severe woundings from your past. And, myself included, I look back at my own life and I believe that was the root of why I was in such pain, because I had unhealed wounds that I didn't even know existed. I consider us to be like onions. You peel one layer back and you realize that there's a wound there that wasn't even visible until you peel the layer back. And then as you continue to pull the layers back, you notice that, wait a minute, there's a common theme here with all of these wounds. They share something very interesting. And so for me, everything dates back to my childhood, in some very specific areas. And I'll share more about that at some point throughout our journey together. But the point that I'm making is we've dealt with either sexual abuse, we've dealt with emotional abuse, we've dealt with spiritual abuse, we've dealt with financial abuse. We don't even consider that, but poverty is a completely debilitating, traumatic experience. If you've dealt with severe poverty, that changes you. There's so much that impacts who you are as a woman and what you bring to the table and what your body is holding on to, because your body remembers. Our bodies are 70% water, and water holds memory. And so your body knows that the traumas happened. And unfortunately, as women, when we are brought up, we're taught to just either stuff it or use mind over matter or pretend it didn't happen, tuck it under the rug. We just put it in the back of our minds. We just keep it pushing, keep it moving. But the truth is that the wounds are still bleeding. They're just bleeding on the inside. And so until we start to learn that this is happening and we decide to make a specific intention to heal those wounds, it will continue to bleed, and it bleeds into our marriages, and it bleeds into our parenting, and it bleeds into our careers. It bleeds into everything. And before you know it, one day you're looking back at yourself and wondering, how did I get here? Well, it's the woundedness that perpetuated itself. And because you didn't have the tools or the guidance to support you in healing it can't do anything but get worse. Think about it. When you have a sore or a wound on your arm, if you don't heal it correctly, then it'll get infected. And eventually that infection will grow and grow and grow and grow. And ultimately you could lose a limb. Literally, you could lose your life because of an infection. And so it's the same principle. So the first thread that I recognized is that your marriages, all of them, our marriages have been severely impacted by the journey to getting pregnant. We can go deeper into that, but there's so much more to discuss. I'm just going to leave it at that. And the situation in your marriage. You know who you're showing up as. You know when you're not responding in love, when you're not showing up in love, and when you are maybe abusing him or using words and actions to manipulate and to be hurtful because you're hurting. We know that hurting people hurt people, right? Well, you got to change that because it's affecting your marriage. And the sad thing is you're sowing seeds, and I'm not quite sure you're going to like the harvest that comes from those seeds that you're sowing. And I'm not blaming you for it. I know that hurting people hurt people, and it's not easy to heal those wounds if you don't have the guidance. But you got to have the wisdom to recognize when you're doing something that's going to create an outcome that you don't want. Okay, so that's the first common thread that I've noticed. The second is that self-care is at an all-time low with many of the women that I have had the pleasure and the honor of speaking with. And I want you to know, too, that in this process, again, there's no judgment. I have no judgment at all about any of this. I really do believe that we're all the same. If you're going through something, I either have gone through it, am going through it, or I love and know someone dear to me that's going through it. So I have no judgment at all. And I meant to start this out by saying that I really do consider this to be holy work, sacred work. And so my goal is to be honest with you and transparent as I could possibly can, so that we can get to the healing and heal the truth. I believe you can't heal a lie. If we're not dealing with the real, then there's no room to be healed, right? So, again, there's no judgment here. I'm just being transparent with you with what I'm realizing as common threads among these women that I'm supporting. And then the third common thread is a severe, deep level of depression and mental torture. Many of you are torturing yourselves, literally berating and belittling and diminishing the strength that is the woman that lives within you. And it's by neglecting her needs. It's by invalidating her worth. Just not having had the blessing yet of walking in the conception, pregnancy, and birth of a child in no way diminishes your value as a woman. In no way. We are far more than baby makers. That's a part of who we are, but our worth extends far beyond the ability to give birth. And so if you're diminishing yourself to just the value that you think that brings, then you're negating so much more of who you are. And if you're doing that, it's like you're cutting off your arm because you don't feel like it works. But then how does the body function without the arm? And if you're the self-loathing and the self-hatred and the self-attack that comes with that, emotionally, it's creating wounds that you don't even realize are there. But it's showing up. Your husband can see it. Your family can see it. The world can see it. And you're putting on that pretty face and you're making sure that no one can see it, but we can see it. And so it's time to face it and take your head out of the sand and take my hand and let me help you walk through that healing. All right? Because it's time to just breathe and allow yourself to heal. And so this many of us are even too busy to see it. We busy ourselves so much, and we stay so occupied in our work, and we allow ourselves to find the value in that, but we're pouring ourselves in so deeply and so heavily that we're trying to recover our value from that space. And that's not where your value lies. Your value lies just in who you are, not what you can do, not how many babies you can make, none of that. It's in the value that just you showed up in when you came out of your own mother's womb. It has absolutely nothing to do nothing to do with how you have contributed to the world. Okay. And if we can separate our value from our contribution, that changes the game. And so that's what I want to help you to do. And also to stop perpetuating the wounding. We have to stop the wounding that we are creating because of our woundedness. It's a cycle, and I can see it, and I can hear it in our conversations. I can hear it in our heart-to-hearts. And so I really think it's important that you see it for yourself, you understand it, and then you employ some of the tools that I want to offer you. Okay? So I took some notes, and so if I peek down, just know that it's because I want to make sure that I keep track, and I want to make sure that I include everything that I want to say to you. So we talked about the common thread of grief and trauma and woundedness that all of us, we're all carrying it. We've all dealt with abuse on some levels. But what we don't recognize is that once you deal with that level of abuse, your body goes into complete self-preservation mode. I mean, total self-preservation. And you're literally in fight or flight, which means everything is like on. You're focused trying to get pregnant. That's the only thing you can think about. That's the only thing you can think about. That's the only thing you can think about. When am I ovulating? How, when is my egg dropping? Do I have enough eggs? Do I have enough time? Am I getting older? Is my body going to heal in time? Is he going to love me if I don't have a baby? Am I going to love me if I don't have a baby? You're just stuck right here. And your body is like, slow everything down because she is melting down. We can't do anything extra because she's on 10. It functions so much better if she's on 2. You get me? But we've got to teach you how, because once you've been in that space for so long, it becomes a habit. You chemically become addicted to being in that space. Your body is a biochemical machine. And when you stay in that mental space so long of fight or flight, that's what your body expects. And so it's not going to function the way that you intend it to function. So what we need to do is learn how to activate our parasympathetic nervous system and allow our bodies to rest into conception, allow our hearts to heal, allow our minds to rest and receive, because we are very, very undernourished. And that's the common thread, that one of the common threads that I'm noticing. And so what I'm prescribing is a complete shift. All right, a complete shift, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. As I listen to some of the conversations that I've had with women, I'm hearing how palpable your fears are. Like I can taste them. I can feel how you're trying everything. You're doing everything. And it's that longing and that desperation that we have, and that stick-to-itiveness as women. We have that make it happen. We can turn on that masculine energy in a moment, right? Or we can just push and push and push and push. And we're using our power, because that's part of our power. But we're using our power to drive through, get to healing, go to the doctor, get the medicine, get the injections, get the treatments, get. We're doing all of that to try to force it to happen when we're not listening to what our bodies are saying. And our bodies are saying, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it until we heal something that's underlying, that's underneath, so that we can do this thing in a healthy way. Okay? And the other thing about that is you don't realize that your body being in fight or flight, it's kind of sort of like being on life support. Your body is literally on life support, and you, by not acknowledging this, you're allowing it to destroy you. And that's the part that was disturbing for me, that is disturbing for me, as I listen to your the pain in your stories and the grief that you're carrying. It's overwhelming. And my heart just breaks for all of you that are suffering through this. And if you're feeling like tears need to flow through this, allow it to flow. Healing tears are cleansing. Let them flow. Let them flow. Let them flow. Because our strength and our tenacity and our never give upness is keeping this problem in the forefront. It's keeping it going, and it's at the same time it's eroding at the fiber of our womanness. And I know you don't want that. And so there's a way to do this that's not a push, 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 make it happen kind of way. That's a more masculine energy. And yes, women have done it that way, but that's maybe not the best way. We have that feminine energy for a reason. It helps us to glide into things. It helps us to move in a different way, in a more powerful way, in a more natural, innate way that works for us. And so I want to talk more about that. But what happens is, if you allow this to continue to erode at the fiber of your womanness, you're only going to be left with remnants of who you are. Remnants of who you are. And when you look in the mirror every day, you already are seeing that you are a remnant of who you were. And that's a tough, sobering reality. I had to face it myself. I still face it some days. I'm just being totally honest with you. I still look in the mirror and see that I'm just a remnant of the woman that I once was. But if you're willing to get the wisdom from the wounds, you can become a more powerful woman with those remnants, but even more of a powerhouse, because now you've taken the wisdom and you're using it to propel you, to strengthen you, to guide you, and to encourage you into walking into the fullness of the power that you have as a woman. And also, that brokenness, you're bringing that into your marriage. That's what you're offering to your husband. And I'm sure he's not reflecting back the best to you because you're not showing up, bringing him the best, right? The thing that I also learned in these conversations is that the men are hurting too. You know, they want to be dads. And I know that they're putting pressure, even though maybe they don't think so, maybe you don't think so, but on some level, there is a level of pressure that comes from that connection with him and knowing that he has a heart for a child as well. So it's just a whole lot of pressure on you as a woman. And I'm going to offer you some suggestions and ways to overcome this, because as I said in the very beginning, this is doable, this is fixable, this is healable. And it's healable a whole lot faster than you've been trying to make it heal because you've been trying to heal the physical, and that's not where the problem lies. Okay. So the last part about this, and then I'm going to move into solution, but I really need you to understand the seriousness of the depths of where we are so that we can really heal it at the core. You want to go all the way down to the source of it so that you can heal it, and then you can bring forth the fruit that you want to produce, right? The part of this that's most devastating is when you are changed at your core by the wounds, it impacts the kind of woman you will be inside of motherhood. It impacts the parent that you will become. And I can attest to this for myself. I was so broken and so hurt and so abused when I got pregnant with my first child. I lost it. And after that, that was confirmation in a way for me of all the things that the doctors had said I wouldn't be able to do. They said that I wouldn't be able to carry a baby, and that if I did, the baby would be stillborn, or it would never make it to term, or just all these different things. And, you know, she just filled me with all these fears, the doctor did. And unfortunately for me, I was in such a low place, I didn't even have the wherewithal within me. Even though I was faithful, I was walking with God like I never had before. I was intuiting, I was hearing from God, and he was taking me on these different experiences, and I was having these spiritual revelations, and it was just a powerful, powerful time that shaped and changed my life, honestly. But even in the midst of that, I believed that I'd never be a mom. I really did at my core. And I so much so that I didn't even need her to tell me, honestly. I felt it in my heart that there's no way this body's going to be able to do that. No way. No way. And I'm so glad I was wrong. But the point that I'm making here is the energy that I was bringing into getting pregnant is not the energy you want to bring into conception. After I had the first miscarriage, I got pregnant again. And throughout that entire pregnancy, I was afraid I was going to lose my baby. The entire time, I was afraid. Fear creates a chemical injection into your body that is not healthy. And it's not something you want your baby to have to endure. And I didn't really know. I mean, I think I knew how to turn it off, but I couldn't employ it. I felt alone in it. It was just an interesting thing. But I want to help women not be there. I want to help women I want to support you in not being in that space the next time you get pregnant. If you've had multiple miscarriages, I don't want you to be thinking the entire time when is going to be the day that this doesn't work out. Then I got pregnant again after I had Chloe, my first daughter, and I lost that baby. And I got pregnant again, and I had Ava. So I said all that to say that when you've dealt with a lot of trauma and a lot of abuse and a lot of grief, it changes you at your core, and healing that is what needs to happen before you allow a baby to start being born and into that body, because you have a chemical gumbo of toxic pain that you don't want your baby swimming in for 9 months. You got me? And as I said before, healing energetic wounds, healing spiritual wounds, and healing emotional wounds is a far faster job than healing a physical wound. So we can do this, and it doesn't have to take a long time, and you don't have to feel hopeless. You don't have to feel like this is impossible, because it absolutely is not. All things are possible. God told us that in his word. He said, none shall miscarry, none will be barren. And he told us 365 times in the word of God to fear not. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Fear not. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Fear not. Fear not. Fear not. Fear not. Fear not. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. So we've got to get that into our minds, right? So here are some recommendations that I think we need to start with. The first thing is, let me see. Yeah. The first thing is we got to get back to the basics. Getting back to the basics helps us to come out of fight or flight. And that's the goal, right? So the first thing is we need to establish a bedtime for you as a woman, if you don't already have one. And you need to be able to get at least 7.5 hours of sleep. Most of you are sleeping 5 to 6 hours at night. And that is not enough. Your body needs to heal. It needs to rest. It needs to regenerate. And it does all of that. Your body is busy all night long healing you. And if you don't allow your body the time that it needs in order to complete that healing, it's not going to heal. There's a reason why our bodies need to sleep. Doctors tell you 8 hours, 30 minutes to start the sleep so that you can get into the sleep. And then that will allow you to complete, 6 sleep cycles. A sleep cycle is a 90-minute cycle from when you go into REM sleep, and you go into deep sleep, and you come out of the deep sleep back into the waking sleep, and then you go back into REM. And that you want to complete one sleep cycle takes 90 minutes. And if you'll notice, if you do a 30-minute nap, you don't feel rested because your body is in the middle of a sleep cycle. You need to complete that cycle. Go a complete 90 minutes of good sleep. And that will help you to feel rested, renewed, and regenerated. Your body's doing what it do during that time. And so if you complete 1 sleep cycle, that's 90 minutes. 2 sleep cycles, that's 3 hours. 3 sleep cycles, that's 4.5 hours. 4 sleep cycles, that's 6 hours. 5 sleep cycles, that's 7.5 hours. If you can allow yourself to get 5 sleep cycles a night, it will change the game for you. Your body will get more of what it needs. And right now, it's all about nourish you. You need to be nourished. You need to be fortified. You need to be strengthened. And the first prescription is sleep. So I need you in the group, when you get a moment, I want you to tell me what your bedtime is, and I want you to tell me what your rising time is. And I want to start tracking how many sleep cycles we're completing each night so that we can see how we're giving our body what it needs. Okay, self-neglect no more. We got to do this, ladies. We want to heal, and this is the best way, the only way, honestly, to get there. The second, we're getting back to the basics. The second thing I want you to start doing is I want you to figure out how much water you need to be taking in every single day. So whatever your weight is, if you haven't weighed yourself, go ahead and weigh yourself. Put your weight and today's date inside this journal. I want you to get a journal. I haven't told you that yet. That's part 2. But even if it's just in the group that you want to post this, the goal here is for you to get clear about how well you're taking care of you. And so determine what your water intake needs to be by identifying how much you weigh and cutting that in half. You need to have half your body weight in water, or go at 100 if you want. If you weigh more than 200 pounds, then you definitely want more than 100 ounces. But that's my goal, to drink 100 ounces a day, and I've not been doing it. So I'm gonna take this challenge on with you all. So determine your water intake and then schedule it. put some reminders in your phone. There are apps that you can download that help you to remember to drink water and separate the time. So if you're going to drink a bottle of water every day at 6, 10, 11, or 6, 10, 3, 7, whatever. Drink a bottle of water at each of those intervals so that your body's getting what it needs. Like I said, our bodies are 70% water, and water has the ability to help us heal. It cleanses our body from all those chemicals, the grief chemicals, the wounds, all of that is in your body, and it needs to come out. And the way that it washes out is with water. So make sure that you're doing that for yourself. Give yourself that gift. And then we're talking about going back to the basics. I want to teach you a new way to breathe. Now, the way that we breathe, yes, our lungs are up here. And when we breathe in, excuse me, again, when we breathe in, we fill our lungs. But if you watch a baby sleep, babies don't fill their lungs when they sleep. They push their stomachs out because their diaphragms are they're using their diaphragm to push their breath. And that's what I want you to learn how to do, because the goal here is to oxygenate your body. Our bodies are not getting the rest they need. They're not getting the water they need, and they're not getting the oxygen that they need in order for the cellular process to be successful. And so what I want you to do, and I'm practicing this myself, it's not something that it's not something that is a normal way to breathe, but I can definitely see the difference as I'm doing it for myself. So on 5 counts, I want you to breathe in and try not to lift your shoulders. Try to just push your stomach out. And of course, it's going to feel uncomfortable. You don't necessarily have to push it really far. You just want to push out to take the air in and make space in your belly and in your diaphragm to suck in more oxygen. Okay, so do it with me. Try not to lift your shoulders. Now push it out. Do it again. Bring it in. Push it out. One more time. Blow it out. Okay, just practice doing that. I know it feels strange right now. And we're going to go through this a few more times because I want you to learn how. Excuse me. And what's interesting about a yawn, is your body is yawning because it needs oxygen. It's trying to get more oxygen. That's why when you do a yawn, it takes you're taking in a deep breath. I've noticed and learned about breathing that when you've dealt with a lot of trauma or grief, you tend to hold your breath. And so I listen for that when I'm talking to you and I'm watching you hold your breath. And that's part of what needs to shift. It's just a habit that we've created from being in fight or flight. You know that you feel when you're watching a scary movie? That's the fight or flight. You got to break that. You got to break that habit. And so that's one of the things that I want you to just become more aware of. It's not a test. I just want you to start paying attention to when you're holding your breath and pay attention to how you're breathing. And then give yourself the gift of oxygen. It's free. For now, anyway. Anyway, so, and again, we talked about alkaline water on a video. Definitely, if you can afford to make that adjustment and go with alkaline water, it changes the game. Our bodies are biochemical, electromagnetic, engineering masterpieces. And because we have an electromagnetic body, alkaline water helps to facilitate more of that electromagnetic charge inside of our bodies, and it allows our bodies to align, and it allows things to function far more effectively than they do without alkaline water. You want to eat more alkaline foods, you want to drink more alkaline water, you want to just allow that biochemical electromagnetic interaction to be more conducive in your body. We'll talk more about that later. So Another thing I want you to pay attention to is your waking thoughts. I want you to notice what are you thinking when you wake up in the morning? Are there thoughts of fear? Are they thoughts of dread? Are they thoughts of failure as a woman? Are they thoughts of hope? Are there thoughts of joy, dread? I want to know. I want you to start paying attention because that'll give you a clue as to what you're meditating on throughout the night. And interestingly enough, what you think about, you bring about. And so our minds play a critical role in the process of getting pregnant and staying pregnant. And all of that is going to help us to make some adjustments. I know I'm throwing a lot at you right now. And it's not a lot per se. It's just it's basic information that we've learned before, I'm sure. But when you deal with trauma, a lot of stuff just escapes you. I know it did for me. A lot of the basics I needed to be reminded of. I needed to be retaught so that I could replenish myself. I was so undernourished. And in a lot of ways, I still am. And I'm still working in that direction to help me to be more fortified. And because, the thing about being an overgiver and a people pleaser and a doer, and you tend to nourish and nurture everyone around you to your own detriment, right? And so it's a habit. It's a lifelong journey that I'm having to unlearn. So I don't consider myself as having arrived. I'm on this journey with you, but I do know that I've gleaned a lot of information on my journey, and a lot of which has brought me to my healing, and it's helping me to support you in coming into your own. So, again, pay attention to your thoughts around how you're talking to yourself, that self-talk. Are you beating yourself up? Do you say self-deprecating things? Do you make self-deprecating jokes? If you do, stop it. Stop it. It's not funny. And you're sowing seeds into your own heart, and they're seeds of destruction. So stop it. It may not feel like you're hurting yourself. Promise you are. So stop it. It's self-destruction. If you feel like you've gone numb and you're just cold, your heart is cold, then we need to talk more deeply about a deeper heart healing for you, because you're not supposed to be numb. And if you are numb, you're going to be numb inside your parenting. I promise you. And I didn't finish telling you about that. So after I had lost my first baby, I got pregnant with Chloe, and I feared through the entire pregnancy. But I had a real strong support system of love around me that helped me through that. And they were believing with me and praying with me and praying for me. And I think that made all the difference in the world, which is why I wanted to create this community too, so that we could support one another. But I realized that once I had her, I went into postpartum because I was undernourished, because I was still wounded, because I wasn't, I hadn't managed my own self-talk. I hadn't healed in a lot of ways. And so that postpartum depression kind of sunk in, and I became a woman I didn't even expect I would be. I thought I would be such a different mom. I thought I would be just so much more than I was. And I don't want that for you. And it's a sobering reality to recognize that you could get into the depths of despair like that. And I'm grateful that I'm out of it. But I did experience it again with Ava. I had postpartum twice. And it all stems from woundedness, not being healed. And so I really think that we have to take this seriously, ladies. We really do. And I know that this is not an easy conversation to have, but it's a necessary one. And I think that the more we move through it, the better we'll all be for it, right? Okay. So the last thing is, I know that intimacy has escaped many of your marriages. The intimacy of the joy, the sensuality, the connection that you have with your husband, that spontaneity, that the flirtiness, all of that yoni power that you had, it's not there anymore because you're on a clock now and you're trying to get it done, and you've taken all of that out. And it's a part of leaning into that masculine energy and abandoning the feminine. And that's part of what I want to help you restore. I want to help you get back to that yoni power. I want to help you turn that fire back on within yourself so that you feel sexy, so that you feel confident, you feel strong, and you feel able to be that woman. And when you change like that, he'll notice. He can't help but notice. He's built to notice. So So we're going to turn that on too. That's so funny. So anyway, I wrote on here, if mama ain't happy, chaos abounds. And that's basically what's happening in many of your lives. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about. The last little nugget that I want to share is about your body, about your being, really. And this is something that I think we all need to really fully understand. You are not your body. You are far more than your body. Your body is a tool that you use. It's the object that you possess. It's the suit that you use to walk around on this earth in. But you are a spirit. You are a soul. No, you are a spirit. You possess a soul, and you live in a physical body. Now, what is a spirit? When you think about what a spirit is, we were made in the image of God, right? The Word of God, the Book of Love says we were made in the image of God, like God, able to do God-like things, right? Well, God is spiritual energy, and so are we. And so when you think about being spirit, you have to think in terms of energy. You have to think in terms of vibration, and you have to think in terms of frequency, because that is the language of God. And unfortunately, religion has not made room for us to talk about any of that or even understand it on a more intimate level, and how it relates to us and how it connects us to the power that God made in us, made us to be. I mean, it's who we are. And so I want to talk more deeply about that so that we have a much more deep understanding of the power that we have that is godlike, right? I just think about, in the Bible, Jesus says that he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and that he's the firstborn of many brethren. Well, we are the kings and lords that he's the King and Lord over. And we are the brethren that he's the firstborn of. And he said that we would do greater works than he did, because he knows what's in us. He knows who we are. And we have been separated from that. And we'll talk more about that too a little bit later. But so you're not just your body, you are spiritual energy. And that's the first thing. And then you possess a soul. Your soul is your mind, your will, your emotions. It's the part of you that thinks, the part of you that feels, the part of you that chooses. Okay, and that is what we possess. It includes your subconscious mind. You have the ability to use your mind. Your mind is a tool to be used by the spirit that both employ the body to carry out the actions that it requires in order for you to manifest and do things in this world. And so your body is an electromagnetic, biochemical, engineering masterpiece. And it's designed to support you, sustain you, protect you, and periodically procreate. That's what your body does. Your body it's phenomenal in its capacity to heal, regenerate, renew, restore itself. God made it a well-oiled machine that knows exactly what to do. Even when we're sleeping, all the functions in our bodies know exactly what to do. Everything works in perfect concert, the way that it was designed, right? Well, our bodies are not designed to run anything. Our bodies are not designed to be in control of anything. They're designed to take the actions that the spirit and the mind give it. But we've allowed our bodies to run things. We've allowed our bodies to say, okay, I'm hungry, so we go get food. I want sex, so we go give it sex. I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. And your body is running things. The chemicals in your body demand that they be fed. And so you run around town trying to figure out how to feed them, when that's not the way it's designed. Your body is supposed to submit. And if you learn how to get your body to submit, then it'll do its job and not everybody else's job. Then it can rest and come into conception. Okay? So there's a whole lot more meat on that bone, and I don't want to, belabor it today. But essentially, the bottom line is this. We are struggling and suffering and agonizing through getting pregnant. And the truth of the matter is that the problem that you're facing has nothing to do with your body. It's either an energetic problem, it's an emotional challenge, or it's a vibrational challenge. energy, spirit, mental, emotional. There's some kind of wounding that's there that needs to be healed. And what I want to do is offer you an opportunity to join me as we do a deep healing immersion. It's going to start on October 24th. And if you're interested in learning more about it, what it'll be is a 3-part session. I don't believe it's going to take a long time, but I do want us to focus for 3 weeks to just kind of do a deep dive. Each week, we're going to do a 2-hour session of me just pouring into you and helping you understand some of the tools and modalities that I want to introduce to you, so you know how they work, you know why they work, and you know how to integrate them into your own life. And you'll recognize that many of the modalities that I'm going to offer to you have been available and around for over 2,000 years in other cultures, but we don't have them readily available to us here in the States, or for whatever reason, we have allowed them to miss us because of our beliefs and our stuff that's around our own healing. So we're going to be doing a deep dive over 3 weeks to dive into our healing, to unearth the woundedness, to take the scab off, to get some antibiotic in there, heal it up, bandage it up, and make sure that we have a plan to take care of it so that it can heal properly. And my goal is to offer you through the end of this year, the ability to just rest. So my charge for you is to turn off the baby maker. Just turn it off for the next 90 days. Through the end of this year, just give the end of the year to you. Give the end of the year to you so that you can be nourished, so that you can be fortified, so that you can be strengthened, and so that you can start 2019 off with a completely new you, with a completely new vibe, with a completely new shine, with a completely new heart. Because that's what you want to bring to your pregnancy and conception. And that's what's going to make it easier. That's what's going to make it effortless. It's going to change your marriage. It's going to change the way you see yourself. It's going to change the way you show up in the world. And it's going to change your ability to conceive and hold on to that baby once you do. Your heart needs to be healed, and that's the problem. That's the challenge. And so if you're interested in going further with me, please do mention it to me in the group or shoot me an email. My email is queenie@supernaturalchildbirth.com. And you're going to see videos from me more often inside of our Facebook group. I created the group so that I'd have a space to more effortlessly create videos. Doing them inside of YouTube and then disseminating them is just more of time challenge for me. And so if we can do it inside of a Facebook group where I can post to you, you can react, we can kind of grow together, that just changes the game for me, and it makes it easier for me to support you. So that's what I would like to do. And if you want to work more privately with me, go ahead and book in a heart-to-heart with me at supernaturalchildbirth.youcanbook.me. And that'll take you to my calendar, and you can go ahead and book a time with me. I'll give you 1 hour of my time, and you and I can talk about your challenges thus far and how I can support you in bringing your dreams of motherhood to life. But again, I want you to give this time to you so that you can heal. Many of you that have not had challenges and haven't been suffering through for a long period of time, I get it. If you're ready to move forward and you just want my support, let's do it. Right now, I have 2 spaces available in my calendar to support the private healing sessions. But I can accommodate the group, which is what I'm offering you today. And it's called Sacred, what did I call it? It's so beautiful. Let me see. Let me pull it up for you so that you can see it. So I'm calling it Sacred Heart Healing. It's a 3-part deep healing immersion with me. And it's how to heal your body, restore your mind, and repair your broken heart so you can finally manifest your miracle. Okay? So it's time to say no more. No more wondering when, no more waiting, no more worrying, no more fear, no more jealousy and envy, and enough of the tries and treatment failures. You're trying to go about it by healing the physical, and that's not healing the problem. The physical is just a manifestation of what's going on emotionally, spiritually, or energetically. I've said that, and I can't shout it to the rooftops any louder. It's just the bottom line. Okay, so I want you to let me help you. This Sacred Heart Healing is a 3-part deep healing immersion, and the group healing is going to be 3 2-hour live healing immersion trainings and activations, and the value is almost $6,000, with 2 live 30-minute group divine healing Q&As with me. So we'll do the 2-hour deep dive, and then a few days later we'll do a Q&A where I can answer any of the questions that you might have with regards to the live healing immersion that we do. And then I'm going to offer you 2 15-minute sacred miracle mind, body, theta, solfeggio. It's basically sound therapy. God created the music scale to be healing for us. It's supposed to be on a vibration that helps our bodies to heal and rest. And in the early 1900s, this musical scale was changed so that now the music that you hear is on a vibration of more dissension and chaos rather than on peace and healing and joy. And so I have worked with an audio engineer to help create some healing meditations to support us in resting and allowing that conception to take place. And I'm offering you 2 of those meditations with this package, and then Facebook group support. And as a bonus, you're going to get e-support via Facebook Messenger up to an hour a month, up to 1 hour for the month of October. And then if you decide to pay in full today, you're also going to get 1 private 30-minute integration sessions to help integrate some of the tools that we have been discussing into your life, to create a schedule around it so that you can really embody it and walk in the healing. Again, over the next 3 months, I really want you to focus on a deep, deep dive into healing yourself. You need to be the priority. My goal has been to really target women and help us, but I didn't realize how much of a deep healing emotionally, spiritually, and energetically we would need where this is concerned before you even think about trying to get pregnant. You got to heal the woman first, because the woman becomes the mother, and if she's not healed, she'll be an unhealed mother, and that's not the kind of mom you want to be. Okay, so again, I do have the private healing option, which is a deeper, more intimate heart healing immersion, and I'm offering it to both you and your partner. So together we can heal the union, we can heal the heart of you and heal his heart as well, and bring the both of you together so that it's a joyous, loving, birthing situation. Okay. And again, I only have 2 private spaces left for that. But the group healing, the total value of the support and the immersion is $9,585, and I can get you into the group today for $997, and that price is reduced for the next 48 hours, reduced $200, and then after that it'll be $1,197. And so I'm hoping that you'll take advantage of this opportunity. This will most likely be the last time I offer this through the end of the year. So the next offering that I'll be making won't look like this, and it'll be in the beginning of the year, and it'll probably be a little bit more expensive and more focused around a larger group. So this is your opportunity to have a more intimate time with me and to be able to go deeper into your own issues, etc. So again, the Sacred Heart Healing is a 3-part deep healing immersion, and it will begin on October 24th, and it'll last for 3 consecutive weeks, and there will be 3 2-hour live healing immersions, and then we'll do the Q&As, and you'll have the meditations and the Facebook support and the messenger support from me. All right? So what you can expect after having participated in this heart healing. First of all, it's only, again, through the end of the year. So I want you to take this time to just immerse yourself in loving you, in nurturing you, and in nourishing you, because that's what's going to make all the difference in the world for your healing. I hope you hear me. Nourishing you is the magic bullet. It's going to change the game for you, and it's going to make conception more effortless. So after this course, you can expect that your healing will have been activated and your body will now be in alignment, and it will start the healing process as well. If you have to go through some physical healing, your body will now be in a position to do that. It'll be receiving the love that it needs, and you will finally be able to rest, and procreation can effortlessly take place. You'll finally be able to drop the mask of I'm okay, because it's a mask, ladies. We're not okay. As I listen to you all tell me your stories, it's interesting. The first thing I hear is, oh, I'm good. And then after I'm good, you unload this treasure trove of grief and trauma and pain and wounds that my heart just breaks that you're carrying that and thinking you're good, because we're not good. And it's time to heal it. It's time to stop pretending and take our heads out of the sand and start healing it, because we have the power to do that as women. Okay. And then we can accept and embrace ourselves, owning the wisdom from our wounds and becoming the heart-healed, confident, powerful mom that you and your babies deserve and your husband deserves. You'll be released. You will have released yourself and your marriage excuse me, from the nagging, never-ending pressure and frustration of trying to conceive. And then you would be able to reignite that fire between the two of you. That's what you're missing. The fire is out because you are in self-preservation mode. Okay, so let's turn that off. And then you'll be able to stop beating yourself up mentally and end your own punishment and your own self-neglect and return to a loving, compassionate relationship with you. After this, you'll be able to forgive yourself of your own self-betrayal and transform from the numbness of seeing yourself as barren and shift into a pulsating fire of self-love and allow yourself to really be vibrant again and be joyful again and be happy and allow that the life-giving force to live inside of you again, okay? And then you will have been able to forgive your offenders, not just by saying it, not just by talking it out, but on an energetic level. Because we don't realize that the people that have hurt us, we have soul ties to them. We do. And if we don't know how to cut those cords and break those ties, they stay with us throughout our lives. And you know, we don't realize it yet, but but someone from our life might say something that triggers us or reminds us of something that someone else did, and boom, we're reacting. That's because we haven't cut the soul ties. We haven't cut those cords, those energetic connections to the wounding. And it's honestly a connection with suffering. We need to be set free from that, okay? And then you will have released yourself from the thoughts and feelings of a failure as a woman. And finally own the power of your womanness, rising to appreciate all the parts of you that make you a divine feminine creatrix. That's what God created us to be. And an unbelievable force of nature, of strength and wisdom. That's who we are as women. And we've got to return to that. It's in that energy that you can create that baby. It's in that energy that you can rock that legacy. Okay? That's the energy that you need to embody. And that's the healing that is there for you. It's waiting for you. But you have to turn your mind from the baby page back to the woman page and get that woman's heart healed so that we can manifest that baby. You got me? Okay. All right. So I'm excited. You know, it's not only possible, but it's promised to you. The word says he remembered her. He opened her womb and she conceived. And that's true. You know, don't give up, get healed. And I'm hoping that you take this call that I'm putting forth and you realize how powerful we are as women and that our wounds are what's holding us back. Those wounds and that grief and that trauma that we've endured is keeping us stuck and it's preventing us from being able to be who we know we are in this life. So again, I'm Queenie Brown. I'm grateful that you took the time. Let me go back to this page for you so you'll see what it comes with. I'm grateful that you took the time to speak with me about your heart healing and not to speak with me, but to hear my heart about your heart healing and to know what's possible for you, because it is possible. It's more than possible. And I want to help you through it. I want to offer you my hand and offer you my heart and let you know that you are not alone and that you have the support you need to heal and the safe, comfortable space in order to do it with a community that is growing through right along with you. Okay? All right. I've taken up enough of your time. I thank you for your attention. I thank you for your heart. And I thank you for your commitment to you and to your family and to your legacy. And I look forward to taking the next step with you. God bless.